The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie production on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is the Minutia Men Celebrity Interview with Rick Kempfer and Dave Stern.
The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie show on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is the Minutia Men Celebrity Interview with Rick and Dave.
Hey, hey.
That's the most enthusiastic I've ever seen you in anything.
That was real enthusiasm there. Dave, this week's guest is really, it's unlike any other guest we've had on the show. He's not the first musician we've had on. He's maybe not even the most famous musician we've had on. He's not even the first guitarist. He's not the first keyboardist, but he is the first ever keytarist. Please welcome to the show the greatest keytarist in the world, Keytar Jeff Abbott. How are you, Jeff?
Hey, I'm great, and thank you both for asking me to come on the show. That's great.
You know, when I say that you're the greatest, I've actually watched the videos of you. You're unbelievably good. My question is, how do you get started playing that instrument in the first place? How do you get started playing the keytar? Back in the day, what was the thing that got you to that instrument?
Girls.
Really?
Oh,
okay. Yeah. Thanks for coming on the show, Jeff.
That's a great show. Thank you very much. Jeff has been.
Don't you love those one-word answers? No. Truth be known, I was always a lead vocalist, and back in the day, I was stuck behind really big Hammond organs and stationary keyboards, and guitar players never had a sense of humor to let us come up to the front.
Yeah.
So that was really the inspiration. And then in 79 I caught wind that Moog was coming out with the first commercially released keytar. Now, it was not called a keytar, by the way, at that point in time. There's an interesting story about the keytar. I'll share that with you momentarily. But needless to say, the rep from Moog made a really drastic mistake. He gave me his contact number at Moog. His name was Leon Filkowski, and I drove him crazy. Where's this thing? When am I getting? When they get it? So long story short, I got one of the first Liberations ever released, and the rest is history.
And so, so it was called the Liberation at that time?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and I think the logic behind the lib was it's liberating you from being stuck behind a keyboard.
That makes sense, I guess. Yeah,
I think keytar is a better name. So describe that for those of our listeners who don't know what a keytar is. Describe a little bit what is a keytar? Okay, a keytar is a portable instrument that you wear around your neck. That looks like a cooler phallic symbol than a guitar. And I happen to play mine wireless. Now, with the models that I have, the left hand in that gray area, that little gray area you see there, I have 2 octaves of pitch bending with all of the semitones.
Wow.
So all of the cool guitar bends that you hear, that's all coming from the left hand.
Oh.
Wow. To me, the piano is always the instrument that stopped me from, becoming a musician, because the being able to,
it's hard.
Well, and using your both hands doing totally different things, right? It's like the whole rubbing yourself on the head while patting something, doing 2 things at once, totally differently with your 2 hands. And now you're not just doing that. You're playing like a guitar with one hand and a piano with the other, basically, right?
Yes, I couldn't be said better. Yes, exactly right.
So how did you make the transition from organ, piano, to then adding that next dynamic?
That must have been a learning process.
It must have been terribly hard, or was it?
Quite a process, actually. I love guitar players. So I don't want to paint a picture that I'm anti-guitar players. But one of the issues that I ran into when I was doing session work was guitar players showing up on time and being prepared. And so it really put me on a course to start going after guitar techniques. Now, back in the beginning, the first national coverage I had was with Keyboard Magazine. And you could not do chords at that point in time. You could do leads, but not chords. And I picked up a couple of endorsements with companies and started going after guitar techniques, which means I would just, immerse myself in guitar players and watching them physically, what they did and how they express themselves. It was quite the undertaking.
Yeah, I have watched your videos, and you do play it like a guitar. It looks like you look like a guitarist up there, jamming away on it because it's shaped like a guitar. It has that vibe to it.
What guitarist provided you with the influence? You mentioned. Please tell me, Pete Townsend, you didn't smash the guitarist or the keytar. That would have been very expensive.
I'm just a little more practical than that. So my catalog of guitar players goes all the way back from Segovia through Joe Pass, to of course Eddie Van Halen, Django Reinhardt, Eric Clapton, Carlos Santana, because they all bring something different to the table.
Yeah,
in what they do. And as a pianist, I really applied a lot of that technique into playing guitar, and I study musicians. Not for their solos. I study their thought process.
Oh, interesting. I think the first time I saw the keytar was Utopia. Remember with Todd Rundgren? They played it for a while. I thought it was so cool. And then just recently, John Baptiste on the Colbert Show played it quite a bit. So it's obviously not limited to a particular genre of music, and I've looked through your stuff, and you seem to play every genre.
Oh, you've got a huge range.
And you're a great singer too, which doesn't seem fair.
Yeah,
thank you for that.
Yeah, what? You're a guitar player?
Come on,
you're a roadie too. What's going on here?
Greedy.
I am greedy. The roadie. Yeah, that's another. Yeah, that's another story. Yeah, I'm pretty much self-contained, but it's really good to see guys like Baptiste out there playing the keyboard. You brought up Todd Rundgren, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say that his influence in electronic music is second to none.
Yeah.
I mean, he was so far ahead of the curve, way before keytars were even thought of the way they are today. He was doing unique stuff. And then if you're going to go back and say, well, what about the keytar influence? One of my first influences was Edgar Winter, and he never played the keytar, but he wore this crazy 40-pound keyboard around his neck to do Frankenstein.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot all about that.
Oh, dude, and he's such a monster musician. He's a great drummer. He's a great sax player, and he's a nice guy. From the one time I had an interaction with him, he was really cool as well.
We saw him at when we were in college. Dave and I are not young, so we're talking early 80s. I saw him in at a place called Mabel's.
Oh, was he at Mabel's?
And there were 6 people at the show. And I felt so bad for him because, he was a huge star, a few years earlier than that. And Frankenstein is such a great song. And, Free Ride, he was a great musician, too. You can just tell.
Yeah, whenever I had to go to the bathroom, Sweet Papa John, I would always put that on the
that was Johnny.
Oh, John, that was Johnny. Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
You're getting your winters all mixed up.
So, I can't decide what is cooler. When you play guitar or play keyboards, doing the guitar riff or vice versa, when you play it like a guitar and it's a piano solo, you're on stage, what gets you mentioned girls, so why don't we say here, what is when you do it in front of an audience, what makes them ooh and ah the most? Is it you as a, guitar first, then keyboarders, or vice versa?
Neither. Actually, if we're really going to talk about audience attraction, it always starts with the voice.
Oh, cool.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, it's the voice. I'm a pretty proficient pianist as well, and my live show is a combination. It's probably 35% keytar, and then the rest is piano and voice, and I do other instruments on the keyboards as well. So, playing saxophones. And I should mention, so that all of the work that you've seen of mine, I actually played every part and everything you've heard.
Oh wow!
And it's all keyboards.
Wow. So, what is the music project that you're working on right now? What is the genre that you're in at this moment? Because I know it changes around.
It changes like crazy. So I have a couple of different things that I'm doing right now, and really one has nothing to do with the other. But the company that makes and I will do a shameless plug if that's okay with you guys.
Yeah,
of course.
Music Labs is the company that makes the virtual guitar instruments that I play. I am the product specialist for the company. I'm also the technical advisor to the company. Truth be known, that the center mode that I use on for my keytaring, it was developed to my technique.
Oh wow!
So I mean, really a great asset. But one of my main projects I have now is I'm going to leave her name out at the moment until we're ready to talk about her. But I'm working with a Japanese female keytarist who is a Berklee graduate, and that's my current project to get her up to snuff.
Does her name rhyme with Shmoko Shmono?
No, but it because if it did, I would have to run like Lazy Maisie. So yeah,
Okay.
So that's one of my current projects, and I'm really trying to get reestablished back in the United States as a musician, because I've made my career in Europe the Caribbean and Europe for the last 25 plus years. So I went away with everybody knowing me, and then came back to nobody knowing me. So now that's the new big push that I'm putting time into.
Well, your YouTube, I'm looking at your YouTube videos. You've got millions of views here.
Yeah.
So for people that may not know your work or the keytar, what would be the best YouTube video do you think people should check out of your stuff? Is there what's your White Album?
Wow, man. I mean, this is really rough. And I mean that sincerely. I mean, from my personal taste, I love my version of Stevie Wonder, Jeff Beck's "'Cause We've Ended as Lovers." That is because it's special, but Stevie's special, and that's Stevie actually uses our instruments as well, and Stevie's a fan of mine, and I mean, which still every time I say that, I feel I should never say that, but I just admire Stevie so absolute to the nth. And another real popular one is Still Got the Blues. That's There's actually a live version of that was not on my page. That to actually see me do this live. I don't know if you guys have seen that version of Still Got the Blues. But really, to get started, just put Keytar Jeff in a Google browser. It'll bring up enough to.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, there's tons of them.
So you keep in touch with Stevie Wonder? Because I've got a Stevie Wonder story.
I'm not. We're not. It's not like we're on a first name basis, but we know each other. But I'd love to hear you, Stevie.
Well, I was stuck in an elevator with him for about 4 minutes back in Champaign in 1980.
Another Champaign story.
1985 or so. I'm at the hotel, and I was actually delivering paper because I was working at Kinko's at the time. Jeff,
right?
This is a riveting story. Let me tell you. So I'm in this elevator, and I don't know what floor he gets on with his entourage. It was like 2 people, and then we went up like a floor, and it stuck. The elevator got stuck for like 4 minutes. And the most amazing thing about this, other than the fact that I'm in the elevator with Stevie Wonder, is that his people that he was with, he had like 2, I can't remember, 2
handlers.
or 3 people, handlers,
yeah.
They would give him word jumbles verbally. So they'd go like, STV, whatever. And then Stevie almost instantaneously would be able to unscramble the word and tell you what the word was. That is my Stevie Wonder story. Isn't that cool?
Oh, yeah. I'm stunned.
So next time you talk to Stevie Wonder, you go, remember back in 84 or whatever, you did word jumbles in front of...
you came on this thinking you're going to be able
the
to talk
focal
about
point,
yourself,
but it's about me. This whole thing is about me.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, so I'm looking at we're talking about getting people excited about playing instruments, and you actually are teaching a master class, aren't you?
Yeah, I teach a one-on-one master class in advanced improvisation. I call it applicable improvisation. When you go to school for music, you really learn how to become a teacher unless you specialize in performance. But there's so much gobbledygook that's involved with music theory that it turns a lot of musicians off. And my approach is really direct, the shortest distance between 2 points. But then I incorporate different things into that, such as dream programming and muscle memory, and which it's really an accelerated process to playing an instrument. Now, most of my musicians that I work with are professionals, everywhere from guys that are playing part-time, full-time to music professors. So it's a really great course, and there is nobody that teaches a course like I do.
Dream programming.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Well, listen, there's two ways of learning, right? And they're combined, but people don't pay attention to it, and that's conscious and subconscious. And what I do is I train the subconscious as well. So I give my students exercises. Here's an example, right? Taking pictures is part of that. So either or both, you can do this. Close your eyes, both of you.
Okay.
And see either one of your parents.
Okay.
Okay, simple enough, right? You can pull them back and you say, sure, I see my mom, I see my dad. Well, the same thing comes to music. It's like, well, so how do you develop it? If you watch how I play, you will not see me look down at the keys very often. Mm-hmm. Right? That was from my first music lesson ever. I was told I couldn't look at the keys on the accordion because I was going to compete, and they took away points. So what I do is I have my musicians actually take pictures of when they're playing chords and when they're doing solos, be attentive to the fingerings, the positions, how your fingers feel. And then I give them that to practice at night before they go to bed. And they take it in, they literally can program your dreams by doing that.
Wow.
That is totally cool.
How do edibles fit into this? Can I take an edible and I go to dream, or how does that work?
Let me ask you a question. Can I come stay at your house because you're in a state that lets you have edibles?
Yeah,
oh, that's right. You're
Indiana. Yeah. Fat chance that's going to happen anytime soon.
Agreed. So,
that sounds very cool. This whole keytar thing is fascinating. If anybody wants to go out and check it out, I mean, not only do you teach how to do it, but if you were, let's say you were meeting a kid who likes guitar and likes piano and is considering playing the keytar, what would be the thing that you would say, this is why you should do it? Give me your elevator pitch. Let's pretend you're with Stevie Wonder in an elevator with Dave.
Right.
You're trapped. Right. There's a word jumble going on.
Stevie, before you do the next word jumble,
I would like to talk to you about the keytar.
Right. What are you going to do?
Yeah, let me scramble anti-disestablishmentarianism. Let's see how fast he comes.
He could have done it.
Stevie! My advice is, well, first of all, you have to have a piano background to play keytar. You cannot do it without a piano background. Second of all, it's an instrument that.
What about accordion? You mentioned accordion. Is that?
I played the accordion for 5 years. I mean, I loved it. I did my first competition before I was 6. I mean, to me it was.
Were you wearing lederhosen, Jeff? Please tell me you were wearing lederhosen.
The garters were not good in those days. So, yeah.
The 70s, it was tough.
Yeah. So, I mean, it really is. It's to come out of your shell. That's a good reason to play keytar. Are you going to be a front person? Are you going to be a vocalist? What your direction is to get out there and get over any fears that you might have.
Okay. Oh, all right.
And be unique. And that was the other answer that I was going to gravitate to on this. It's like, because on occasions people say, why don't you just play guitar? I am a proficient keyboardist. I am a proficient pianist. But there's a million guys out there like that.
Right.
And there's a million great guitar players. So what makes them different from a marketing standpoint?
Yeah.
Can you, maybe a stupid question, can you play guitar, like regular guitar?
Nope.
Yeah.
Wow.
No.
That is very cool.
Wow.
What about guitar? What is the video game? Guitar play?
Guitar Hero?
Guitar Hero. How good are you on Guitar Hero?
Never played it.
Okay. Yeah, don't do it. I have a friend that's a musician who said he played it and it screwed him up for weeks.
Yeah. I can only imagine.
Well, Jeff, this has been fun. Thank you very much for coming on with us. Wish we could have had you play, but you know how the podcasting world is. We're not allowed to play music.
Yeah.
We want people to go find you. Where is the best place to find you on the internet so people can enjoy your music?
Well, I would say Google me for on Keytar Jeff for the videos. And again, if you don't mind a quick shameless plug.
No.
Hey, I'm looking for gigs, and my solo gig, which I've done in Europe for decades. I play with the solo gig from anywhere from a handful of people to 1,000 people a night. So it's a very versatile act. I sound like a real band, and please, I need a job. Otherwise, I'm going to be on the street with a spray bottle. So
if you're playing anywhere in the Chicago area, let us know because we'd love to come out and watch you.
Yeah, we'll be happy to
we're fans.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on the show, Jeff.
Thank you so much. Nice, have a great one.
All right,
take it easy. That's a Keytar Jeff is his name.
Good guy. Nice guy.
Find him on the internet.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thanks for Jeff for being on the show. We've got people to thank.
Yeah.
Let's thank our executive producer, Tony Lasano, with opishows.com. Opie is hippo backwards, OPPIHshows.com. Keytar Jeff was booked by Brandon Herman. Thank you, Brandon, for helping us out again. We're distributed by Ed Silla with Radio Misfits. Great Talk Radio isn't dead. Just move to a better place. RadioMisfits.com. And we'll be back again in... next week.
Next week.
Well, whenever we feel like it. We'll be back again with another episode of
Minutia Man Celebrity Interview.
The preceding was a presentation of Opie Productions. Find our other great shows wherever you find podcasts, including opishows.com. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?